One. It's the internet. You're busy. Let's do this. Welcome to the GamesBeat Decides podcast. This is the podcast where we decide everything happening in the world of games so you don't have to think for yourself. I'm your host, Jeffrey Grubb. With me is...
It's me, Mike Minotti.
Yeah, you're here. Yeah, we did it. I'm pretty proud of us. We missed last week. I'm gonna chalk this one up to laziness. Last week was just lazy.
Yeah?
Just lazy. Yep.
Yeah, that we did just kind of say,
It was, I don't know, it was that kind of week. It was a really slow week.
It really was.
You know what, though?
And this week picked up fast.
Yeah, this week making up for things. This has been a nut.
February in general was like really slow. Like I remember it's like January used to be slow and it's not slow anymore. There's no more slow months. And February was kind of a slow month.
Mm-hmm.
And now here's March. Look out.
Yep, and we're gonna have to get into things pretty quick because there is a lot to talk about here. I don't want to take forever on all this news, but there's a lot of news. We'll get to that in a little bit. First, though, I want to thank everybody for joining us. You can get more from me and Mike at GamesBeat.com. If you have something to share or you want to complain about Mike, which I fully sympathize with, email the podcast at gamespluspodcast@venturebeat.com. That's the plus sign. If you're watching this on Facebook or YouTube or Twitch or any number of places that we're restreaming out to, you could subscribe to the podcast on Apple Podcasts, Google Play, Stitcher, a bunch more. Finally, if you like this, rate us on Apple Podcasts. It helps.
No one likes this.
I know, yeah. I don't even know why I ask people to do that. It's really just...
I say as I take a swig of beer.
It's kind of rude to ask people to go out there and rate this when you know deep down they're just going to have to be like, oh, I have an excuse. I can't go do it. I'm just busy that day. Yeah. So, Mike, what you been doing? What's been going on in your life of video games?
My computer broke today. Awful, because all if you even listen to the show, pretty much all I do anymore is play World of Warcraft again. And sub Overwatch. I was actually thinking about this week. I'm like, I should probably be playing some other games. It definitely hits me when you have me do this show, and it's like, what are you playing? And you're always playing these new interesting things. World of Warcraft. I must have played something else.
Well, I mean, you feel like it's that time of year where you can get away with just indulging what you want to play, but it's not anymore.
No.
I mean, there was a small window there in February.
If there was something I really,
of course,
felt strongly about, it would. But I feel like as a gamer, I was like, I should play games I'm only kind of interested in. And sometimes I don't.
No, I hear you.
I just play World of Warcraft and Overwatch and things I like. Especially, that's how gaming is anymore, right? I'm just following trends, right? People play 3 games a lot instead of buying 12 and they play them all year.
No, yeah, you're absolutely. You're Cody Wynn in the chat says beautiful boys. Called you beautiful, Mike.
But yeah, last night I was I just started a game of Hearthstone actually, and then I heard this buzzing noise, and then my monitor went black. And I could still hear the Hearthstone game and everything. And so I had to I was just oh no, I lost this game of Hearthstone. That was my first concern. So it's I'll just turn my computer off and let it rest overnight. It'll be better in the morning, surely. It was not better.
No.
And after after plugging in a different monitor, opening it up, cleaning it, and then taking the video card out and putting it back in, and then doing some other things, the video card has died.
Yep.
Sucks. It's not very old. It's just a 970. So.
Yeah. I mean, it's all that Bitcoin mining you're doing, obviously.
That was what
just nonstop running that GPU, getting those cryptocurrencies. So not a great time to not have a video card. They're getting expensive.
That's what I quickly learned.
Oh, so did you do any window shopping online or anything? Did you start pricing stuff out?
When I was telling my brothers about it, and stuff, they're like, "Oh, this is an awful time." Why?
It's historically awful. I'm not sure. I mean, I feel like there's always people deciding to build their first computer, and they're gonna be like, wait, what is going on? Yeah, GPU, that's one of the news stories, and we'll get into that in a little bit. But I mean, these people that are actually mining cryptocurrencies just bought a ton of GPUs, made them really hard to get.
See, I didn't even realize that was a thing. I thought buying a GPU was just buying a PlayStation 4. It's not oh no, now there's not many of them. Now the price went up. I don't know.
Yep, it's crazy. Yeah, I mean, it's never happened like this before. So yeah, I think you were right to a certain point. They were like a PS4, but
I was able to at least plug my monitor into the computer via that other
just through the CPU, right? Yeah.
Yeah, the CPU. which I discovered is just good enough to play World of Warcraft on the 1 graphics setting,
Right.
which is like
Yeah, so that's like very low, I'm assuming.
it's like playing like a PlayStation 2 MMO. Like I assume this is what Final Fantasy 11 looks like on the PlayStation 2, maybe worse.
Have you tried what kind of CPU do you have? Probably an i7.
Gosh, you know I'm not good with all these hardware.
No, I know you're not. I mean, it's not a big deal if you're not gonna look it up. But
Processor info. I have a Intel Core i5 6400.
Okay, I mean, i5 6400 is awesome when you have a GPU, but I think when you're yeah, but when you're trying to like run games off just the CPU, that could be kind of rough. I think. Like I played Overwatch on this Stealth. I have this Razer Stealth, and it just has an i7, and I played it on the very low settings, and it looked like it had the shimmery pixels and polygons, so it looked kind of like a PS1 game to me. I liked it, but.
Let's talk about like World of Warcraft. Like I'm just leveling and stuff.
Right.
You know, like that's fine. I can do what I need to do.
Yeah, Cody Wynn says that it's the one upgrade he needs, and it's $900 instead of $350.
So I'm just gonna probably be stuck like this for a little bit.
Yep.
Least.
Yeah. I mean, a couple weeks probably. We'll keep posted on that. I'm interested. You were. I mean, tell me a little bit about this. You were trying to play over the cloud stream, and do you even understand it? Or was your brother just trying to set it up
No, my
for
brother was trying to put me through that, and like that wasn't gonna work on my my Wi-Fi is okay, but my computer's not plugged directly into the router. My router's in my living room. So
yeah,
that
makes sense.
Fly. And even I feel like even if it did, I'm so like I can't turn VSync on for games because that bothers me. I don't think I can play a game on cloud computing. It would just drive me insane.
Right. Oh, from the lag. So you're saying, the lag would be really bad.
Latency would even just a little bit of it would drive me insane and make it unplayable for me.
I was going to suggest. I mean, you have like an iPhone, right? Look at one of these things called Parsec. I think it's called just like Parsec, PARSEC.
What, am I turning my iPhone into a graphics card?
You're turning your iPhone into a streaming thing, and I would just say, just test them out. Like you could stream off of a really powerful PC on some server somewhere, and you could sign into your own Steam account, I think. I don't know. I mean, I think there's like free trials. It might be worth it just to see what it's like. I've been meaning to check those out. I never got around to it.
I tell you what the problem is this computer I have. It's this Asus G20 something. It looks cool, but the case is so small. It's like they try to make the sleekest case ever. Like it's the size of almost like a PlayStation 4, which for a computer doesn't seem like enough room to put everything in there. Like I opened it up, trying to clean it. Right. It's like everything is real packed in there.
Yeah, it's you want to have some extra space in there just to get some airflow going. That'll probably be what you should do. Like in the meantime, is just do some case shopping, put everything back in the case. You could put the GPU in last. I mean, it'll be fine. So yeah, give you something to do in the meantime.
It's a little staticky, by the way. I don't know if that's a problem.
Yeah, how staticky? Am I super staticky?
Yeah, your usual amount of static.
Okay. Yeah, it might be a problem. Let me see here. Let me I'm gonna switch to a different microphone real quick.
Classic static.
Yeah, exactly. I forgot to use the other headphones or the other microphone. I've decided not to use this one anymore. People in chat, we'll be right back. I'm gonna actually just unplug this mic. I'll be right back.
Cool when everyone tells him it's cool. It turns out it's actually not cool. We all laugh about it behind his back. We say Jeff Grubb is a loser, and they're like, "Oh yeah, dude, he doesn't even look cool with his hair because it's stupid." And then we're like, "Oh, quiet, he's coming back." And then Jeff Grubb's like, "Oh, what did I miss?" We're like, "No, dude, your hair looks cool." He's like, "Yeah, thanks. I know. It's the only thing I care about." And we laugh, but we also look at each other like, it's sad. We know it's sad. I thought that would kill enough time. I thought he would be back by the end of that. But he's not.
Test. Okay. So now I am on the stream. is this called? Yeah, there we go. All right, we'll get this working again. Hopefully I'm not static anymore. I don't know if I was staticky for the people on the stream. Now's the time to strike. All right, I just got to get Mike back into this new cast test. I feel like there's a high-pitched whine now. Yeah, stream. So here's the thing: is the stream would probably would sound fine to you guys. We use this thing called Cast, which is this like web service where I think Mike's here. Mike, the chat. Yeah, twitch.tv/JeffGrubb/chat if you want to just like see the chat room. We do. We're also on Facebook. Well, there might be people chatting there. I don't know. Jeff Grubb, yeah, /chat. I mean, we're also on the GamesBeat one, and we're on YouTube. We're everywhere. It's just redundancies. Let's see. I think we could probably switch to one of these other games when we start again. But yeah, we use Cast, and the thing is, we can only hear Jeff now. Okay, yeah, I can fix that. No, that's fine. It'll be fine. I can fix that in a second. That's just OBS being whack. Yeah. All right, Mike, talk. No, he's still no. Oh, that's right. I switched the... Okay, talk now.
Hi, it's me. Can everyone hear me?
Yes, they definitely can. Okay.
Definitely. I don't know.
Hi, I'm Mike Minotti. I like Mega Man.
I do like Mega Man. Where were we, Jeff? God, before all this unprofessional behavior from you.
Yeah, no, just pure slacking off. I'm going to hit start recording on the cast real quick. All right, I think we were about to switch to what I've been playing. I know, right?
Okay, let's get it.
Which one do you want to hear about first? You want to hear about the new game, the old game, or the really old game?
You know me, I don't play new games apparently anymore. Let's start with that, I guess.
The new game is Into the Breach. It is very good. Yes, it's very good. It's from the guy that made FTL. Well, the team that made FTL. Which I'm sure you played. Everyone played FTL.
Yeah, I played a little. I didn't like get into it like some people did, but I played it.
Yeah. I got into FTL a ton. I really liked it. It's a game that I've always meant to sort of go back to, and have not. But I'm playing Into the Breach kind of obsessively right now. So this is so structurally it's similar to FTL where it's run based and you are like trying to get as far as you can each time. And when you screw up, you have to go back to the beginning. That's similar to FTL. The difference is it's not like in space. It's not like running around ships. You are 3 mechs and you control these 3 mechs on an 8x8 turn-based Advanced War style grid, and you are taking on waves of bugs.
You like it?
Yeah, for sure. It's you could tell it's been optimized for mobile. It just has that one 8x8 grid. You don't have to scroll around anywhere. It all happens right in front of you. The buttons are really big, and no matter what, the matches will never go longer than 5 turns. If you survive 5 turns, the bugs will retreat. So it's this very, very focused turn-based tactics game, and it could seem pretty basic if you're just looking at it, but there's all kinds of depth because on any one turn, all kinds of stuff is possible. And also similar to FTL, you're carrying along like this overarching HP meter. That's basically your power grid, and you lose 1 HP anytime one of your buildings in one of your cities on these maps gets destroyed. So what you're trying to do is you're trying to use your damaging attacks, these knockback attacks, and like freezing attacks to kind of keep the enemies from doing that damage, while also trying to achieve some bonus objectives at the same time to get more points to help you survive like later on in the run. It's incredible, and I think the big reason it's so good is just that you do get into these really intense situations where you're like, there's no way, this is it, I'm going to lose the run right here, and then you just keep looking, and like a minute later it just clicks and it comes to you and you pull off this amazing maneuver to just get everything perfectly set up so that you scrape by with the win. And I can't stop playing it. It's very good.
I just like your use of the phrase damaging attacks.
Damn it.
Because that's literally something me and my friends will say, like, when, I don't know, just goofing around, like, let's play our video games and beat the other team with our damaging attacks.
It's just that there's multiple kinds of attacks here, so I'm trying to be specific. The other games are, I mean, I'm excited about them. I finally got into Stardew Valley, Mike.
Man, you know what? I should have gotten into Stardew Valley
Yes.
long ago, because I freaking love the old Harvest Moon games. I was looking forward to Stardew Valley, and I said, no, I'm going to wait for this, like, to come. Like, at first I didn't get into it right away. Then the Switch happened, like, okay, I'm going to wait for that Switch version.
Of course, yeah.
Then it came out, and I got it. I just haven't started yet, because I've been playing, like, all these other things.
Well, I did the same thing. I did the exact same thing. I got it on sale finally on, like, over the holidays. And I've had it since then. And I'm like, oh, I'm going on this trip. Like, well, I'm actually going to be traveling for the holidays, so I will play it then, maybe. And I didn't. And I'm glad. I'm glad I've like kind of waited for this time right here. I don't even know what possessed me to start it up. There are other games I could keep playing. I think what happened is I got to a point in Celeste where I'm like, I'm really going to have to work hard to get these last few collectibles. Like,
who has time for that?
I know, yeah. I mean, I love Celeste, and I'm going to try to get everything in that game. But it was getting to a point where it's like, no, I'm searching instead of just like doing the hard platforming stuff, and that's not quite as fun. So I'm going to put that down for a little bit, and maybe I'll start up Stardew Valley, I guess. And yeah, I'm playing that obsessively as well. It's weird to be playing both this and Into the Breach, kind of with an equal amount of fervor, side by side. And I'm going back and forth and just it's like I can hot swap them out at any time, and I'll just like be the same glued to my screen with these games. It's just really good. It's both relaxing and also sort of always keeping you with that itch of like, okay, what am I going to do next? How am I going to maximize this? How am I going to be like the most efficient I could possibly be? But also, I'm just going to decide to ignore this entire part of the game right now because I'm just not going to worry about it, and that's very freeing. And knowing it's going to be there later if I want to get into it. It's been great, and it's fun to like just like have people like shouting various tips at you, like when you say you're playing Stardew Valley on Twitter or whatever. Because people know so much about the game.
Yeah, Jeff, I want to know, like how are the waifus? Are they like pretty good quality?
I've tried to avoid talking to people as much as I can.
What? Jeff, we would play this game so differently.
I know, yeah, and the thing is, it like totally lets me, and I don't feel bad. I'm like,
my garden would just be weeds, and I'd be out there like giving all of those like potential like wives like flowers or something.
I haven't,
not from my garden because it's a mess, but like I'll buy them at a store.
It's been nice because like I have a wife in real life. Not that like not that there's no value.
Whoa!
No, not like that. Like just say that there's not that there's no value to like dating in a game.
What are you saying?
Oh,
you're saying I'm some kind of a loser because I'm single and I'm excited about getting away. You know what's funny? Like Harvest Moon 64, when I played that, it was the first game I played where you could like get a virtual like girlfriend or wife, and I was like what 12, and I was like, oh. This is kind of interesting.
Adult situations. But what I'm trying to say is, I am like
one way's enough for you. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, not that there's plenty of people who are in relationships who enjoy that stuff still in games, and that's fine. It's just really nice to throw myself into my work, so to speak, in the game.
Do you feel jealous if you flirt with the video game characters, Jeff? Is that what you're saying? Not jealous, but do you feel
oh yeah, I feel like
guilty?
Oh yeah, of course. No, I'd be fine. Well, you know what? Maybe there's like a tiny little bit of that nugget in the back of my brain that's just making it like easier to ignore that. But if I actually engaged with it, that would fade so fast.
This is why you didn't like Nier Automata. You couldn't embrace the waifu.
You're right. I just couldn't get into it. You're right. She was not my waifu. It never could be, and I knew that. No, I once I get a few years into my my farm and I have it kind of set up and I know the ropes and I could spend like certain portions of the day, chasing after other people or whatever. I'll do that, but for now I am totally
chase after people.
Yeah, I'm totally happy to just like, I'm gonna like clear out the space and like and like make a bunch of hops and like
Hops.
Yeah, store those hops away so that when winter comes, I can make beer all winter.
What?
And
I can make beer?
it's like it's so exciting. I'm like,
oh baby,
because it's like I'm like mostly making hops in the summer right now, and I'm not gonna sell any of it right now. So it's like I'm kind of poor, but I know when winter comes, I'm just gonna be flush with beer and money, and it's my dream. It's good.
You don't even need money if you have beer.
Exactly. You already got the thing you're gonna buy anyhow.
Yeah, right.
Only other game I'm playing is Siege, and I'll just bring it up that the new operators were on the test server, and I played them, and they're very good. And I'm at a point with that game where I think I was at with Overwatch, like a year ago, where okay, the new characters come in. It's gonna be fun to learn the new characters and kind of figure out how they fit into the meta. And it's nice. And I don't know why this is the game I'm going to instead of like Overwatch or even PUBG or something like that, but it's definitely the one pulling me in the most at the moment. Mike, we should get to the news. No, yeah, don't like.
Don't have it.
Yeah, no. You said it earlier. Everyone's playing 3 games a lot. Like, just stick to your 3 games. Like, don't feel like you need to go play this.
I know what I like.
Yeah, it's from 2015. Like, I know they're like updating it and shit, but like, yeah, there was no reason for me to go back to it. I'm happy I did, but no, don't. I know what you like to.
Hey Jeff, I heard that you made some news today. You had your big scoop.
I'm you know what? I think I did. I think it's safe to say it was a pretty big scoop. Yeah.
This is the biggest scoop you've ever had. Has to be, right?
I think so. Yeah. Yes, it is, because this is like news that wasn't announced at all, and I kind of broke it. Yes.
Unless it turns out to be wrong, and then in which case, fired.
For sure. Yeah, I will like the SpongeBob meme gif where he buries himself in the dirt. I'll do that to myself. So Battlefield 2 is coming out this year, but it's actually called Battlefield 5. It takes place during World War II. I can explain that more. So I've had this information for a little bit, kind of been trying to bounce it around to verify certain portions of it. Was able to do that this morning. I just kind of sat down and wrote it out. And as I wrote the story, it was basically EA's next Battlefield is called Battlefield 2. And it's called that because it takes place during World War II. And that was the gist of it. There was a few other tidbits. Basically, like, EA knew it wanted to do World War II, but it also was like, let's try to stretch this out a little bit. So we're going to do World War I first. And if that game fizzles, we can always go to World War II. And we know that's sort of bankable right now. So that was kind of their plan all along. But after literally right after I published it, I started seeing this tweet about this image of Battlefield 5, the Roman numeral 5 with the V. And I'm like, that looks pretty weird. But I'll try to see if I can find out if it's real. Turns out, yeah, the game recently had its name changed internally at EA to Battlefield 5. And
Battlefield 2 is always weird because there wasn't Battlefield 2.
Exactly. So in the original story, right in that first paragraph, I'm like, it's Battlefield 2, but that name's probably going to change, or very well could change. So I try to make it clear that it's such a weird name choice that it has to just be a code name for now. Turns out that was the case. Battlefield 5 could also be a placeholder in terms of a final name, but I think it's probably safe to say it'll be Battlefield 5 and then maybe a subtitle, but probably just Battlefield 5 because it just makes sense marketing wise. Their games have all kind of had just the number, and it's been fine. But yeah, this is not too surprising, I think, right?
No, I mean, there was clearly a clamor even before Call of Duty finally went back to World War II. It was clear a couple of years, maybe at least a year before that people wanted that to happen.
Right.
And I'm sure EA was aware of that. Like you said, they kind of knew they were going to go down that route eventually. Especially, Modern Warfare was just played out. Even Battlefield did the whole sci-fi thing a long time ago, and it never really worked out for them. So they weren't going to do the Advanced Warfare or Infinite Warfare thing that Call of Duty did, right? So yeah, going to World War II just makes sense. It's this series' roots, and yeah, people are kind of. It's fair. And I know that it's interesting to me. My favorite Battlefield is still just 1942.
Yeah,
I liked all that World War II stuff in that game. I felt like it made the most sense for that kind of game in a lot of even Battlefield 1. It's neat, but a lot of it they kind of have to they basically try to make it closer to a World War II experience. No, the tanks are actually effective. Look, and it's not just trenches. And yeah, see.
Yeah, I'll say a couple things. People were like, oh, the name is weird. Why wouldn't they just call it Battlefield 1944? Because there was a 42, 43, 44. I'm like, I think the name recognition, I think they just think, oh, the sequel to Battlefield 4 is more recognizable these days than the PC only games 1942
Yeah.
and 3. Oh, those games I think came to Xbox later maybe. But
1943 was like a weird digital. It was basically
Right.
a digital, like it wasn't really a sequel. It was kind
yeah,
of like
it was
an,
just
an updated version of 42.
Totally,
It wasn't
exactly.
much.
right. Exactly. So it would be a weird lineage anyhow. And then also people were like, oh, but the rumor, well, at least some people, because I think a lot of people realized this rumor wasn't accurate. Like, oh, I thought it was going to be Bad Company 3. I was tracking that down as well. That it just doesn't sound like that's happening.
That's wishful thinking, I think.
Yeah, a little bit. So what I understand is DICE hears everyone wanting the Bad Company games to come back, and it sounds like they are holding it in reserve for when they need it. They don't need it right now. Is kind of what it comes down to.
That's one that, again, like I feel like when that happens, it won't be Bad Company 3. It'll be kind of like a not really, kind of a reboot of that concept.
Right.
It'll be Worst Company or something.
Yeah, and I mean those games were like console first. Like that, it was a weird time.
Back in those days, back when you had like Call of Duty Big Red One. And stuff.
Right.
Well, it was a little bit after that actually, but yeah.
But I mean, it was that same general idea though, for sure. So it's just like that would never happen these days. So it kind of gives them an opportunity to rethink how that would work.
The whole franchise is really different. It feels like kind of pre Battlefield 3.
Right.
Like since Battlefield 3, it's been on a pretty predictable trajectory. Like before that, you had weird things like Battlefield 2042 and Vietnam, and like even though this next is gonna be Battlefield 5, it's like the 8th or 9th one.
Yeah, I wouldn't even know how to start counting these games. Yeah, exactly. There's weird offshoots, Battlefield Online, for sure.
Oh, Battlefield Online was a thing.
Yeah, for real. I was like going through the wikis and like looking at all the games that ever come out, and I'm like, how does the numbering on this series work? And yeah.
What's it called? Battlefield Heroes?
There was also Battlefield Heroes.
I was just thinking of Battlefield Heroes.
Yeah.
Whoa. Okay, then never mind.
Yeah, they're like two separate things completely. It's weird. Yeah. Okay. So moving on, we have more news. That's kind of the big scoop for today.
Good job, Jeff. You did it.
Thank you. I might have some more stories coming out soon. They won't be as big as this, but they're scoops. So a little tease. Maybe that.
I like when you tease me, Jeff.
Yeah. Maybe that Garden Warfare 3 thing is actually real. Turns out. Ooh, maybe. We'll see. The White House. That's a big White House.
Oh God.
Yeah. The Webster's Dictionary defines the White House. Okay, so Trump is apparently going to have a meeting with the game industry. That's what his press secretary, Sarah Sanders, said during a press conference today with the White House press corps. They were asking her, like, oh, what is like the ongoing way that he is dealing with gun violence and this thing that happened in Parkland where 17 people were killed. And one of her answers, in a series of answers, was next week, Donald Trump will be meeting with the video game industry at the White House.
Do we know what that means exactly by the video game industry? Like, who is he talking to?
Right. So this is the thing. So that came out earlier in the day, and I'm like, okay, that's big news. I'm going to write that up right now. Although I'm going to point out that I reached out to people, no one kind of got back to me right away. One person was like, no comment yet. And it's like, well, that's weird. You would think they would have a comment ready to go for something as big as this if it was coming up. They would just be like, oh, we're excited to talk about the dynamic video game industry with the President of the United States. But no one had that ready to go. And Sarah Huckabee Sanders didn't mention anyone in particular. So I'm like, okay, this is happening, but we don't really know who's involved or what it is. So after I write up that story, I make sure that I reach out to everybody I can think of. The ESA was top of the line there because they are the Entertainment Software Association, the #1 lobbying group for the video game industry, but then every other publisher as well. A few hours later, the ESA reaches out and is like, hey, thanks for reaching out to us. Here's our statement. And the first line was just like, the ESA and none of its member companies were invited to the White House or to meet Donald Trump. It's like not a single company that is a part of the ESA, which includes Sony, Microsoft, and Nintendo. I think Activision might not be in there anymore. But like Capcom and Deep Silver and all just so many companies, like every major company pretty much, all went back and the ESA must have been like, hey, did anyone talk to Trump? Has anyone been invited? Like, hey, were you invited? Were you invited? That's how they must have been spending their day to day. And I got the impression from a couple of people I talked to that that's exactly what was happening all day today. They were just trying to figure out what was going on. And the answer is nothing. Like, they've never heard a single word from the White House about this. It sounds like something she might have just said on the fly. or that
Maybe.
they talked about in I mean maybe, or that's something they talked about like, well, we should do that, and now she says we are
I
doing
think
that.
that's exactly what happened. I'll tell you what, like, I know, like, it's obviously upsetting, like, oh god, they're trying to pin this on video game violence again, as a stupid we've been there. I take some comfort in the fact that I know that this probably amounts to nothing. Like, there'll be some photo op of, like, Trump sitting with people, and so you can say, look at me, we're solving this issue. And
if it even happens at all.
If it even happens. So,
yeah,
it's a good thing to laugh at. I mean, obviously take it seriously, like, be worried, I guess. But
well, be engaged,
I'm ultimately not too concerned. Yeah, be engaged. Keep an eye on it. But I'm not anticipating much trouble from it.
Exactly. It's going to be, yeah, you're right. At worst, probably a really awkward and fun thing to laugh at photo opportunity.
Oh, maybe he's going to talk to Curt Schilling.
Yeah, perfect. Curt Schilling, Bernie Stolar, and that's my list right there. I'd watch that. That'd be fun.
There you go.
Okay, moving on. So, speaking of the ESA, like one of the things they mentioned in the press release or their statement today, they're like, oh, we already self-regulate. We have the ESRB telling the parents how to do stuff. Well, the ESRB, the Entertainment Software Ratings Board, which started because it was like, oh, this is how we are going to keep the government from regulating us, came out and it sort of had their new take on how to deal with in-game purchases, basically loot boxes. So, Mike, if you went to a store and you were going to buy a video game and you saw a label on that box that says this game contains in-game purchases, what would that mean to you?
It means this is the devil's work.
Yeah, I mean,
get a bonfire going.
Live services.
Is that really? Is that going to show up on there like
yes.
the same way like violence used to and stuff?
Yep. So starting soon, the ESRB will issue this designation to any game that has any sort of in-game purchase, any sort at all.
Wow.
So loot boxes, of course, but also DLC, new characters.
So like Zelda would be
virtual currency, The Legend of Zelda: Breath of the Wild.
Mario Kart, anything.
Exactly. So there's just a couple things there. Like people are like, hey, that's pretty much every game, right? So how is this useful? How is this useful?
This is my thing. That like, at what point, it's like the Incredibles, right? When everyone has superpowers, but nobody's super.
Exactly. Yeah.
If all these games get a label, it's like none of them have a label.
Yeah, and then like Mike Flutter, who used to be a games journalist, and now he's like writing books about how to like how to run a big game business and stuff like that. That's his latest book. I reached out to him, and he was like, so I mean, the way it works is if a game says, oh, we don't have microtransactions, but then later decides to, they'll either have to pull their games off the shelf or pay money to send stickers out to every retailer to put on their game that says it now contains in-game purchases.
This is a really elegant solution, isn't it?
Right, so why wouldn't you just play it safe and say, my game may have microtransactions, so let's just go ahead and put the sticker on there at first, in which case, literally every game will have this warning. Yeah. So
again, it's just doing something to do something, I guess, right?
Oh yeah,
eyes are on you. You got to do something.
Right.
Everyone's mad about the loot boxes, and boy.
Yeah, it's clearly the ESRB's like lowball offer to try to like be like, hey, please go away. This is what we're gonna do, right? Isn't this good enough?
Guys, we're on top of it.
Yeah, exactly. I will just say the ESRB's reasoning for saying in-game purchases and not loot boxes was, we've done research and parents don't know what loot boxes are, so if we said they were in the game, they wouldn't understand. And it's like, oh, homie, that's your job, like to teach parents stuff about video games. That's like your whole. That's the thing you're pretending to do, right? So just do it.
Yeah, it just seems like a little late to go after in-game purchases in general.
Yep. Oh yeah, that's like, so weird.
Oh, they gotta pull Elder Scrolls 4 off the shelf so they get that sticker on there.
Yep.
Warn them about the horse armor.
Yep. So I think that this will probably. They'll probably ramp this up a little bit after the feedback from this is going to be pretty negative. So we'll see how it plays out. But for now, yeah, new stickers on our games. Hooray.
All right. For those physical versions you don't buy anyways.
Exactly, yeah.
So,
to be fair, they did say that it'll apply to digital stores, but do you even look at like any ratings on the digital stores? Like I don't even know where they are. So.
Oh no, I mean, gosh. I'm 31, so yeah. I think all games are okay for me right now.
I'm always looking for those AO games, Mike. You know me.
This game is rated W for waifus.
Okay, so next story. This applies to you, Mike. Cryptocurrency miners bought 3 million graphics cards worth $776 million in 2017. This is why you can't get a graphics card right now.
I got this is the thing they're buying, is graphics cards.
Yeah, so
why is that?
So the thing is some of these cryptocurrencies, these are altcoins, not Bitcoin. Bitcoin doesn't really work well with GPUs. Ethereum is a really good one. It's this Bitcoin that could do a lot of stuff for a bunch of different companies. So a bunch of companies use it, and the way it's powered is through raw calculations, and those raw calculations, just like folding it home on your PlayStation 3 or whatever, is powered by GPUs. And it's still really lucrative for people that have enough GPUs and can get cheap power. So there's a lot of people doing it. Here's the weird thing is, I don't necessarily know if it could ever go back like to the way it was.
Oh no.
Yeah, I'm like, I keep trying to like run the math in my head, because it feels like a person, like if let's say Ethereum becomes unviable for GPU mining, which is a thing. People end up building these machines specifically built for mining this specific kind of coin, and they build it for the algorithm. It's a whole thing. But the point is, the GPUs are no longer they're priced out of this whole situation. But in that case, it's not like the calculations done by GPUs are suddenly worthless. Someone else will just come along and make a new cryptocurrency that will then take advantage of all the GPUs in the world. And it feels like the cycle is just going to go on forever. I mean, I guess if they make these mining machines so much more efficient than GPUs, that like every coin would just use those, I guess. But that doesn't seem like it's going to happen. So I don't know.
Jeff, I just want to play Overwatch.
Yes, I know. And it's not like, so like you see these numbers, $776 million and 3 million graphics cards. You're like, oh, NVIDIA must be loving that. AMD must be so happy. And I don't think so, because they're not sure if this is necessarily going to last forever. Maybe it does, maybe it doesn't. But what they know for damn sure is that, if they come out with a new set of graphics cards that are better at mining something, all those graphics cards from last year are going to get sold on the secondary market, and they're going to burn out super fast because they've been running 24/7 mining coins. So they're going to hit their warranty super fast, and NVIDIA and AMD are going to have to be dealing with all those RMAs and all these returns from people who bought one secondhand, and it's just a whole mess. It's a mess.
How much do Voodoo 2s go for these days?
Right? Where is Voodoo when you need them?
Right? Come on.
Yeah, 3DFX. Come on, I want.
Would they ever make a Voodoo 3? Maybe it's time.
I feel like Voodoo is actually owned by one of those companies. Maybe not. That Texas Instruments. Sure. Yeah. Okay. Let's get Texas Instruments back in it. Metal Gear Survive flops at UK retail. Are you surprised by this? Yeah, no. I didn't even get the details, but I mean, it just feels like Konami sent it out to die. It might be an interesting game. It seems like one of those games that could be revived, like if they gave it support and constant updates. But it's Konami, so they're not going to do that.
Yeah, it's like nobody, even if I don't think it's not awful, but it's just the whole thing that happened there. It's like no one wants to play a Metal Gear game right now without Kojima involved, right? It's just, it feels icky. It feels weird. It's weird.
Yep. The game doesn't suck, but the whole thing sucks. The whole situation is just kind of, it's a bummer. And you go in there and maybe you have a good time, but you're still going to come out of it and just be like, oh, okay, I had a good time, but man, that was weird. And I don't know if that's...
You just made it sound like you went into harem or something.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. You come out feeling really guilty. Or, oh, God, well, not again. I can't believe I did it again, Mike.
I don't know.
Mike, we did it again. Every time we're in San Francisco.
What?
What?
The Cheesecake Factory.
That's right. The Cheesecake Factory is our harem.
What are our Stardew Valley waifus going to think?
No, they don't judge me. That's why I love them so much. Let's get on to this other game that actually did sell well, Kingdom Come Deliverance. Took 10 days, and it sold 500,000 units on Steam alone. I mean, why did games succeed and some fail, Mike? I have no idea.
I mean, this one it was a pretty good time for it to come out, not just the month, whatever, but it's kind of been a bit since the last open world RPG thing like this, right? A lot of people are still just playing Skyrim or Witcher 3. Another one of those isn't coming out for a while. So I think that's the kind of thing that helped that a lot. And I mean, people seem to be enjoying it, right? I know a lot of people a lot of people have bad things to say about it, but a lot of people have good things to say about
You're
it.
right.
And a lot of that seems to be rising to the top more than anything. So it has buzz. And it actually is like the game that I've had the most like friends want to text me about. Like, you know about this game? Should I get it?
Weird.
And I was kind of like, I don't really know anything about it. But yeah, like it somehow it did get a strange amount of buzz.
Weird.
So however I don't know if it was intentional, like some brilliant marketing thing they did or what, but like people knew about it, which is strange for a game with a generic title like Kingdom Come Deliverance. But
for real, yeah. It's worse than like Dragon Age Origins for sure. Yeah, I don't know. The game's whatever for me. I want to keep playing it just to kind of see if it changes, it gets better, more interesting. But Into the Breach is good and out, and I'm playing that. Mike, tell me about what's going on with PlayStation Plus, especially, I mean, with the games that are coming out in March, seem like a big deal, but it might be the medicine to help you, or the sugar to help the medicine go down. What's going on?
Well, so March is pretty great. It's like the best month I've seen for this for PlayStation 4 since they've been doing it. You have Bloodborne and Ratchet and Clank, the PlayStation 4 game, like that remake. So those are like two of the best exclusives for that system. That's fantastic. If you don't have those games, download those right away. Wow. Everything else is kind of meh or whatever. Like you get Mighty Number 9 also, cool.
Right?
It's some weird Bomberman ripoff. So the other thing they said there was that starting in March 2019, PlayStation 3 and Vita games will no longer be offered as part of PlayStation Plus. And to me, it's like, you know what? 2019 March, like they're putting it out there very early. They're getting people ready for it.
Right.
Like,
that's
so, like
24 games for each of those systems. Right.
You couldn't buy like a year past like right now and be like, whoa, I didn't know PlayStation 3 and Vita games were going to be a part. Right. And I mean, I don't know. Like I'm sure people are still playing PlayStation 3 and Vita here and there, but also come on.
No, yeah,
these systems are old. They're by 2019. Like, I mean, when did the PlayStation 3 release? 2006. That console's gonna be 13 years old.
Right. Yeah. And 2019. Yeah. God, Jesus Christ, time is a cruel mistress. But right. Yeah, like that's 24 games for each system between now and then, right? Or 24, 22, 26, whatever. I feel like, okay, that's the end. we did all the games. We did all the games that are kind of actually worth it. So
like what else are they gonna offer?
I mean, it feels like they're already kind of running out of stuff. I mean, I'm sure there are like bigger games they could do, but they were never going to, and they're not going to. Like they'll hit a bunch of. I get
it's a little.
Go ahead.
It's a little sadder for the Vita because it's like yet another death knell for that thing. Yeah. But I mean, we have to kind of just accept it. Like that happened. They're not making it for it, and then like the Switches come and become the new like indie home thing. Really, the only thing, and then like. The only thing that's really missing now is where are like the weird JRPGs going, and I feel like that's going to be a combination of Switch and Steam.
Right.
So, but yeah, the Vita is just about done. So probably.
Yeah, you're right. That is kind of sad because we knew the Vita was dead, but that is the end is in sight. We can see it, and it'll be in the ground forever after that. At least in America. I kind of don't know what's going on in Japan with that.
I don't think it's a big hit in Japan either. But
yeah, I mean, I know that those like
who knows?
Those like booby anime games were still coming out on it. So
Tuna, Hysteria, Boobia, whatever.
Yeah, Boobia, that's the one. So I'm just going to do this one pretty quickly, but this kind of thing I think is indicative of where the game industry is at. This is a blog that kind of blew up on Reddit because it made Reddit mad. The title of the blog is How Activision Blizzard Has Become a Safer Stock. And then the subtitle is Blizzard's plan for 2018 and predicted revenue streams heavily rely on the expansion of microtransactions. Essentially what they're saying is before microtransactions and loot boxes and live services and all these like steady income streams, Activision was very reliant on making sure that next Call of Duty was a hit. And if that next Call of Duty somehow failed, it would take down all of Activision with it, or at least all of its stock value. And so now investors are saying, hey, this looks a lot better now, even if the next Call of Duty did somehow implode. Like, it just didn't even come out. Something terrible happened. That would suck. It would hurt its stock, but it wouldn't completely destroy it because they still have King and they still have Blizzard just like raking in money from these, not just WoW subscriptions now, but from Hearthstone and all this other stuff. When it's kind of put like this, it's kind of hard to say, oh, you should go back to the old way of doing things where you are in this volatile place where investors are just like not even sure they want to invest in you.
But Dave, but Jeff, aren't they afraid about getting their stickers?
Oh no, the stickers! You're right. Oh God, this is going to save us all. The stickers is what's going to save us, Mike. Keep those damn Michael transactions away from us. I think.
Why did I just call you Dave?
Super Dave Osborne. I kind of got that vibe going. I think I've always wanted to. Anyhow, no.
Let's move on.
Chrono Trigger released on Steam today. That was not today, but that's the name of this story. It's bad, right, Mike?
Yeah, it's the mobile ports, and like a lot of these mobile ports of basically any retro games are usually pretty weird. They have like these really ugly like menus that look like something you did in RPG Maker, like where like the font is like super crisp and weird, doesn't match the pixels of the game. There's like a weird filter on the game where like again the pixels don't look as crisp as they should. It's not as bad as like when they did like Final Fantasy 6 and 5, where they just for some reason replace the art with worse art. Like it's not like they like put it in 3D. They just made their game uglier and spent like a decent amount of work doing it.
Why do they hate their old games, Mike? What?
Well, that's the weird like when they did Final Fantasy 9,
they're 2D games anyhow. Yeah.
Yeah, when they did Final Fantasy 9, that was pretty great.
Well, I mean, Final Fantasy 12 is awesome on PC. I mean, it looks great in 4K. I mean, it's a hog on like GPU and CPU, but it looks great. It's awesome.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just it would be so easy. Just like for Chrono Trigger, just get that like DS version for the most part. Put that on there. For the Final Fantasies like 4, 5, and 6, just get those Game Boy Advance versions. Adapt them for Steam a little. It's weird that they go to these mobile versions as like, we'll put the. And I understand maybe it's easier, but I mean,
I guess.
But come on, it's just gross.
I mean, it's like just do the work and get these games to a point where they will last forever.
It's like. I mean, most people who would want Chrono Trigger, I think, are savvy enough to look at this, see that $15 price tag, and be like, I know what an emulator is, right? I mean, come on.
Yeah. I mean, that's a good point. I mean, like and
it'll look better.
Yeah, and the Super NT just got support with the jailbreak firmware to run ROMs, so now you don't even have to go out and buy it for $120. You could
I did.
Yeah, you could just run it on there, and it looks perfect. It looks exactly like it should. You can play it on a 1080p screen over HDMI, and that's what I'm gonna do. Not gonna touch the Steam version. I don't get it. They're not the only company that is weird about their old games. I'm trying to think. There's like some that like don't like pretend. EA like they called Battlefield 1 Battlefield 1, and then like there was already a Battlefield 1, guys, but like there was really a Battlefront and a Battlefront 2. I mean, those aren't your old games, but like why do you pretend like old games don't exist to the point where you're just going to name them the same thing? And they have all these games from their past that they just do not ever acknowledge. I know they're like, oh, let's go forward. We're going to march forward into these new opportunities.
It's especially weird because like retro gaming is this opportunity now. Like the Nintendo Classic Editions have really shown that. You think that like Square Enix should have a division right now that just works on like releasing very good ports of these games for new platforms or PC or whatever it is, but not so much.
Yep.
Like all these games should have like a treatment like at least in terms of like emulation quality as good as like that the first Mega Man Legacy collection, right?
Right, exactly.
I complained that it was maybe a little light on features, but like in terms of like just getting those games running on new systems pretty perfectly, that was great.
Right, and it feels like even like bundling a bunch of those games up, giving it to that other Ocean, I think is the company that did it. Maybe not. It's similar people as people that work at that company did that Mega Man port, the Mega Man bundle, and it feels like those games that Mega Man collection just gets so much hype that it's like it does make more money than selling them individually broken up as shitty mobile versions on the Steam or whatever. So I guess I don't know the business. But it feels bad. It feels like bad business because I'm just not excited at all to go out and purchase this, and I'll just go out and
it's like because there was like immediate excitement because it happened. It was like a surprise, like my god, Chrono Trigger's on Steam, and then everyone was like,
Right. I will say, their old game, their 2D games get treated like shit, but Final Fantasy 15 is coming out on PC soon. And I think they are still trying to promise mod support, and I think I will play that with just every stupid mod in the world thrown on that game.
It's already going to be... You already get like Gordon Freeman. Not just the outfit, but it's like Gordon Freeman. And you get a weird... It's hilarious.
But it's not Macho Man Randy Savage, Mike.
That's funny. Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Nothing is.
Yet.
Yes, exactly. Yes, eventually Gordon Freeman on a long enough timeline does become Macho Man Randy Savage. You're right. Last two stories. New Overwatch hero. Mike, did you get to play her before your PC died?
Yeah, actually, yeah, I did. Thankfully, mess around there on the PTR a bit. It's impossible to like get like a sense of like how good she's
Oh,
going
yeah.
to ultimately be. Like first off, in that short time frame, also like everyone's just trying to play as her. Like really, you're only gonna get to play as her if you go in like one of these custom games where everybody can be her.
Right.
But it seems really cool. I always thought so. Her name is gosh, it's like
Bridget.
It's not Bridget. It's like Brigitte or something.
Really?
They pronounce it strange.
Oh,
yeah.
God.
Oh yeah. She's like Torbjorn's daughter and also
Right.
Reinhardt's like squire. And she's a support character that's kind of a bit tanky, but she's ultimately support. She
Right.
heals. So it is like kind of like the one healing archetype that I thought was missing, like the kind of battle
Right. The
healer, like the
Mhm.
cleric kind of thing. Like she literally has a flail, and it's like a long range melee weapon, and she just does passive healing to her allies in range when she's hit people with that. She also has like a short, like just like a little shots that kills people a lot very quickly. She can bring up a shield. It's like a mini Reinhardt shield that basically just covers her. When she's using that, she can do a little like shield bash, and it knocks people back, which is good because there's places in Overwatch where you can knock people off the level and kill them instantly. She can also like send her flail out to knock people away. You can do the same kind of thing. And then her ultimate gives allies in range like a bunch of armor and also speeds them up so they can attack faster. So it's cool. What I like is the last hero was also support, so it might seem like, oh, two healers right in a row. It's weird.
Yeah.
But Overwatch had such a problem with supports.
Right.
This time
And
last year.
it started with 3, and like every other category, like just ballooned so much faster than support that it does make some sense to like.
To start out, even I mean, because there's attack and defense as categories, but when you're playing Overwatch, you have a team of 6. You get to pick 2 characters from that are DPS, which is all attack and defense characters, really, and even one of the support characters almost, Symmetra. Mm-hmm. So it's like this giant pool for those 2 slots, and then like you needed 2 healers, and you had a choice of like 3
right.
to pick.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. So yeah, I think that made perfect sense. I mean, I guess I understand why people are like, 2 sports in a row, but no, that makes sense.
I mean, yeah, I think most people are like get it too. Like most people are happy and excited. Yeah. And she seems really neat and fun, and I'm pretty excited to get to actually play her once I have a computer at work.
Brigitte?
No, Brigitta or something. It's very strange. Yeah, I think it's bizarre. I don't know. I forget.
Fair enough. We'll get it eventually.
She's Swedish, you see.
Right. Yeah, I do see. Finally, last story, Sega. They released the demo for Yakuza 6, and it was the full game download, and it was just like locked off. But people broke those locks and were able to unlock the entire game. So Sega took it down after finding that out.
First off, why are demos really that effective of a thing anymore? Like a demo?
No idea. I honestly don't know.
Right. And the second off, I'd be so terrified to like just be like, well, it's the full game, but we put in a lock.
Right.
People everywhere are gonna break that. Like, okay.
Yeah. It just seems like, you guys haven't been on the internet before, huh? All right.
Yeah.
Cool.
Like, I guess.
So you learn the hard way, but whatever. That's just a bizarre thing all around in every way. But Yakuza is about crime, so do crime. Get the demo and do crime, Mike. I think that should be the tagline. All right.
Oh man.
Let's we've been going on for a while, but let's just do this. Let's just do this topic. What were the best games in February, Mike? I have mine. Do you want me to?
Like I said, I didn't play it.
Well, I mean, I'll pick them. I have no problem with that unless you want to do this next week. We can do it next week. That's fine.
No, it doesn't matter because I didn't play the February. I mean, I played Shadow of the Colossus, I still like Shadow of the Colossus.
Right. So so here are the big games.
So I watched Shadow of the Colossus.
Yeah. So Shadow of the Colossus, Kingdom Come Deliverance, Civ. I wrote Civ 4, Civ 6, Rise and Fall, Into the Breach, Metal Gear Survive, Secret of Mana. These are just other games.
Secret of Mana, Square Enix once again just really Secret of Mana.
Okay, yeah. Yep, okay in chat says Bridge Ata. Says they just they just that. Okay, now I'll be able to say that every time. That's perfect. Bridge Ata.
Yeah, I'm gonna not forget that. Yeah, right. I'm gonna forget immediately.
Bayonetta 1 and 2, Dragon Quest Builders. Those are just like games that came out before, so that we don't have to really consider them. I just threw them on this list for the hell of it.
You go ahead, Jeff. As long as you put Shadow of the Colossus somewhere there.
Yes, I think so. We did 3 last month. We'll do 3 this month. I think I would do Into the Breach, Shadow of the Colossus, And I'm kind of split between Metal Gear Survive and Kingdom Come Deliverance. I do like parts of Metal Gear Survive.
I feel like Kingdom Come Deliverance definitely seems like the more important game.
Yeah,
right?
yes. I have my issues with it, and I'll get to write. I'll write about those eventually.
Sure.
But I do see the game in there that some people are falling in love with, even if it's not catching me. I wish I would have played Rise and Fall, but I didn't, and Fee, but I didn't, and so yeah. So I think I would probably go Shadow of the Colossus, Kingdom Come Deliverance, and Into the Breach. And then number 1 is easily Into the Breach. It's just too good. All right, that was easy. I think what we'll do at the end of the year, we'll go back and look at all these picks that we made and kind of break it down from there. Mike, let's end this podcast so I can just go lay down. It was a hell of a day. This was
this podcast, the one we just did.
Yeah, I'm gonna end it. I'm gonna end the podcast. What do you mean?
Yeah. I thought you said
what other podcast?
I thought you said what was in this podcast.
Oh,
I don't know. We're talking about video games. Yeah.
I'm not that far gone. I'm saying let's end this podcast.
Let's end it because I have to pee. And
yeah, you got to pee. I want to go lay down on the floor. So yes, Mike, tell everyone where they could find you on the internet.
Well, you can find me on Twitter at Tolkoto. That's TOLKOTO. I'm always writing for GamesBeat, and I'm also doing the Exploding Barrel podcast with my brother. Our new episode that should be going up tomorrow is about Coco and our favorite Pixar movies. So that'll be at edpodcast.com.
Hot. I am Jeff Grubb on Twitter. I am Jeffrey Grubb on YouTube, youtube.com/Jeffrey Grubb. Post videos there. And twitch.tv/Jeff Grubb. I've been streaming there almost every night now. It's been fun. American Truck Simulator, a few other things. Check it out there. I mean, there's some people watching there already, but if you're watching on one of the other platforms, come check it out. Come check that out each night. I'll try to entertain you a little bit. All right. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. We'll be back next week, maybe, if we're not feeling lazy. And we'll see how it goes. All right. Have a good one. Until then. Bye.
Bye.